Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Three Men of Football podcast. How are we doing, lads?
Thomas, Simon, how are we?
Hi boys, how we doing?
Good.
All good. How are we feeling after today's game, boys?
Can't move.
I feel very happy.
I think.
Honestly, I literally can't move my legs.
Do you want to explain what the game was, Si? Because
yeah, so we talked about it on the live, and we've talked about it before. We each year we play a charity game for the Ben Williams Foundation, which is the Follow Your Heart Foundation, and we donate to Vital Signs, which is a heart charity. And it was set up by a group of friends of Ben Williams, who was a good mate of ours for many years, and was a manager for me and Darren at some stage, played alongside us for many years. And we had the charity game today, which me and Darren actually played in the full game. Thomas come on for a couple of minutes. And I'm trying to block out what happened during those couple of minutes, if I'm honest.
I think we just move on, Si, to the actual topic of the show.
Hang on, Darren. I thought you were gonna stick up for me. You actually thought it was quite good.
I was amazed at the response that you got from the line.
Are we talking about the one where he fell over in the corner? Because that was the bit that I remember. I don't remember anything else happening. What did you do, Tom?
Well, we were 3-2 down, 10 minutes to go. They threw the big fella on up front. Only goes and scores the equaliser, didn't I? Then I see Simon, who was on my team, his reaction, which was, no! On the halfway line. So I then took my top off, give it a wig round my head, ran to the touchline, dropped the mic and said, sub me off now.
There was two girls under, looked like open age or under 18s teams playing. They're scarred for life.
They'll never play football again.
Yeah.
As you know what?
The reaction was amazing.
Do you want to talk us through it, Tom? What kind of goal was it?
To be honest, it was just a good finish. 6 or 8 yards out. Ball got squared across to me, and it's the first time. Went through the goalie's legs. It's his townies and went in. So
actually, he scored a volley. I was so shocked. So I was running in front of him. Centre half followed me, and then the centre half was behind Thomas. He ran in between them, and he hit it on the volley.
Yeah, I told you I'm deadly.
I
6
don't
or 8
know.
yards, I'm absolutely deadly.
But I don't know whether it was a stride pattern that actually made him volley it.
He fell over.
Rather than his actual one to volley it.
Darren, I'm very disappointed. I'm from Simon, because he's gutted that I've come on, scored the equaliser, took the limelights off him for 2 seconds.
I played for 80 minutes. You come on for a couple of minutes and score a volley.
Thomas, I was gutted I couldn't catch you to say well done. You'd gone.
To be honest, as soon as I scored it and I seen Simon's reaction, I thought, I'm not fit for this game. I need to go and play for people that appreciate the talent. As you can see from me name on there, Goal Monster. And the lads will appreciate it, because some of the lads actually enjoyed my goal today. Unlike Simon.
Yeah, Thomas, so the stats are 1 shot, 1 goal.
That's right.
Speaks for themselves.
Are we forgetting everything else that happened while he was on now?
My movement was amazing, in and out, making lovely little runs. Andy Parkinson, ex-Tranmere forward, he was making lovely runs. I was running off him, curling him down the back.
What game were you watching?
So these are the things I remember. He ran into the corner and fell over.
I did. So that knocked me.
No one anywhere near him. And then the other one was Andy Parkinson did make a good run, and he knocked a pass through, and it went about 10 yards the other way.
Yeah, he knocked it past me the wrong way.
Oh, you knocked it to him?
I didn't.
I watched it.
Do you know what? I was outside of me foot. I killed it behind the centre half. You know, it was just a bit unlucky, to be honest.
So, Thomas, has Andy approached you after the game at all, or?
To be honest, I think he was a little bit jealous that I took some of his glory away from him.
His family were on the line and everything.
Yeah.
His wife high-fived me.
Brilliant. What a way to top off a brilliant year, eh, Thomas?
Yeah. What happened on that?
Well, that's what you said. What a year we've had, and then to top it off, score.
I'm telling you, of all the things that have happened this year, I think that might be the worst thing. And this has been probably the worst year in our history. And I think that might be the worst thing.
It's almost like the icing on the cake. Isn't it? Like a little cherry on the top of the cake, of the 2020 cake. There's a little Thomas Morris statue.
2020 cake just like smashed up in the corner.
Volley,
and Thomas is stood on top of it.
volleyed, Simon. Volleyed. And to be honest, Darren, I thought better of you because secretly I know you're absolutely reveling in this situation.
I think it was
and
absolutely...
you just haven't got the balls to go against Simon.
Thomas,
you're joining in. You made up have got him.
It was brilliant, mate. And I love the fact that you just ran off, swinging your shirt round as though you were like, had won an FA Cup final. It was brilliant.
I'll give you
it. Get a sub on. I'm coming off.
It was a decent finish.
You did more running off the pitch than you did on.
Yeah, that's the fastest I've seen him run since I've known him.
It was brilliant.
Genius. But it was great. Great cause. Loads of people involved. Collected some money for the charity as well, which is fantastic. A great effort from all the lads, and it was a really good laugh. I really enjoyed it, even though I can't move now. I really enjoyed the game. It was brilliant.
I've just booked a carer to come round about 10. just to get.
You might need them all week.
Yeah,
it's brilliant. All right,
really
so today what we're going to do is a bit of a mid-season review, and I'm sure at some stage during the podcast Thomas will talk about his goal again. But we will do a mid-season review for the Premier League. We're going to look at the different teams. We're going to look at if they're where we expected them to be, what we think is going to happen going forward, and then maybe talk about some of the players that have stood out for us so far this year. So we'll get through the teams. As we know, there's 20 of them, so we could be here for a while. I'm sure we'll keep it brief, and then we'll try and stop Thomas from talking about Liverpool for 25 minutes.
Just on that side, I heard someone on the line say when Thomas scored, was that Danny Ings playing?
He looks a bit like Danny Ings, doesn't he?
Well,
like
I don't want to say...
Someone who's a Danny Ings that's been battered with a pan.
Hey, same movement, Simon.
Oh, God. All right.
Because he's booked on Strictly, aren't you, Thomas, next year? The movement was lovely.
Oh, my God. Imagine. Although I did think we were on Strictly before. That's when you were doing the warm-up and you were doing some sort of...
Yeah, it was commented how beautiful I moved.
All right, so bottom of the league, and I think we... this is not entirely how we predicted, but it's Sheffield United. So they played 14 and they have 2 points.
I think that's a massive shock. I think,
and one of them was from today, wasn't it? It was Brighton.
Yeah, I think it's a massive shock because I think everyone expecting them, not maybe to do what they did last year, but certainly to be a strong mid-table club. I don't know what's gone wrong. I don't know what's happened. I don't think they brought in maybe enough quality to sustain what they were doing last year. I know they brought the goalkeeper back that they had previously. They spent quite a bit of money on him, but nothing else.
Ramsdale, is it? Ramsdale.
Yeah. But nothing majorly. And I just think, sometimes in football you have a bit of luck and sometimes you don't. And they've not had some luck in some games. That's cost them massively. They went down to 10 men again, didn't they, today against Brighton? Yeah. That's going to cost them.
Did you see that tackle?
I just think...
Terrible tackle, that.
What will be interesting is what Sheffield United do with Chris Wilder, whether they say, do you know what, we're sticking with him because he's brought us up from the leagues, or is it time for a change?
And he brought them up, and then he had a really good season last year as well. But they look poor this year, don't they, Tom?
I think they should stick with him. To be honest, I'm not his biggest fan, but I think they've lost I don't know. It's like a bit of steel, a bit of industry right through the side, where they're trying to play football, and where they done really well last year was they met everyone head on, and physically dominated a lot of the teams, including the top teams when they played them. They don't look that same side this year. They're a step behind the pace. And I think since the ghost goal off Villa last year, I don't think they've been the same, to be honest.
We've turned the Wi-Fi on now, so we should be sorted.
Yeah, they're really poor. I also think when you watch them, I watched some of the games, they didn't watch all of it, and they just didn't look like they were getting into the flow at all. And, they're away to Brighton. I think it's a tough game. But they just didn't look at the races at all. Whereas last year, as you say, Tom, they looked like they had a bit of bite in every single tackle and they were chasing everything down. Today, they were celebrating like blocks at the back and stuff like that, and they're getting no chances going forward. They're just really poor to watch. And I don't think they've got much in them, and I don't think it's looking good for them. I mean, obviously, at 2 points in at Christmas doesn't look good. It looks like they're going down. But I just don't think they're going to get anywhere close to getting out of the bottom three.
I think we all had them to go down, didn't we?
I don't know.
No, I don't think we did. No, I don't think we did.
You sure?
I think Sheffield United have got a massive decision to make in January. Do they gamble and spend a bit of money to try and stay in? Or do they go, actually, do you know what? We won't. We'll see what happens at the end of the season, and then we'll put money in then to get us back up, because they'll have the parachute payments, I believe. Could be wrong.
Right, yeah.
So it's a massive decision for the club.
I don't think there's much in it. And then next is West Brom. Oh, actually, let's go back to Sheffield United. I mean, this seems like a bit of a pointless question, but have any of their players stood out?
One for me.
Go on.
Ramsdale. He's been really disappointing.
Yeah, well,
Dean Henderson last year was a shining light for them, really. Kept them in games, made brilliant saves, and the defence really looked at him and thought, you know what, we've got someone behind us that we can really trust. I don't think they've got that with Ramsdale. He's given too many sloppy goals away, and they just don't look secure at the back, and they're never going to win games if they're leaking stupid goals.
Well, he doesn't look technically good as well, does he? I remember watching a game early on in the season, and he was brilliant and absolutely useless in the same game. I just think he's liable for a mistake. And yeah, I agree. He stood out as a real issue for them. You've got to think that they've got to look to do something about that in January, haven't they?
It's a difficult one.
Cash.
I don't think they've got the cash to do it on that type of goalkeeper after they spent whatever 15, 20 million on him. Yeah. I think they need to either look at someone in midfield who can drive them forward and maybe create something. But I can't see. I mean, they've got who's the guy from Liverpool, Thomas?
Liam Brewster.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the answer either. I don't think he'll get you goals in the Premier League.
Well, isn't he? He's
not potential, haven't they? They've bought potential, and that's just a little bit stuck now.
Yeah, but the problem is that they bought potential. They're going down this year, and then he'll leave them anyway, because they won't keep him on a you know, if they don't come bounce straight back up, he's going. But they've also only scored 8 goals. They scored 8 goals and leaked 25. I mean, it's not looking good at all.
No.
Anyway, I think Brewster is definitely a quality footballer for the future, but I think you're talking 3-4 years away before he really makes that impact.
Yeah. I also think he's got to find the right club. I'm not sure Sheffield United are the right club. If they're going to be up and down.
Yeah.
To be honest, it might be ideal for him for next year, playing in the Championship.
Maybe, yeah, get some experience. Okay, next is West Brom. Cookster's a big fan of these, although I think since Big Sam has gone there, he's not a fan anymore and has burned every bit of clothing that he's got with West Bromwich Albion on it. So they are second from bottom and have got 7 points, leaked 26 goals, scored 10, and look absolutely useless. I mean, again, I think I think they've looked better in the last couple of games, and Bilic has got them playing a bit, or had them playing a bit better. Then they've obviously decided before that they're getting rid of him. They've got rid of him. They've gone through the negotiation with Sam Allardyce, and now Big Sam has come in to save them. I mean, if once he comes into your football club, you've got to think that's the beginning of the end, haven't you?
Yeah, he's just useless, isn't he?
Yeah, but what he does do, he gets results in a way where clubs will pay him an extortionate amount of money. Because if they stay at West Brom, he'll have done it. He'll get his 18-month contract that he normally gets, and then he'll go again in 18 months or whatever it is. But at West Brom, I think we called this though early on in the season.
Did, yeah.
I think we did say Bilic will go by Christmas because they just weren't getting those results. They play Villa. Obviously, we're recording this before the Villa game. It's a difficult one for Villa because we played decent against Burnley, and West Brom Big Sam will set them up not to get beat, sit behind the ball, and Villa have got to have that creativeness to try and get through to them. You know what you expect from Sam? Hard work, good formation, and I think, are they going to score enough goals to stay up? I don't think they are.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, has anyone got a want to watch from West Brom?
I think that Dean Garner is probably the player, isn't he? But he's just not. I just don't think he's doing it. He doesn't stand out at all in that team. But then again, he's in a really poor team, which makes you wonder why he's gone there.
Who's the guy from Chelsea that's gone there on loan? Double barrel surname. I forgot. It's just.
No, is that Hudson-Odoi? It's not him, is it?
No, centre midfielder.
Oh,
don't know.
He'll come to me in a minute.
Okay, we'll look forward to that.
He's played for England. He's a quality player. He's one that he could do a really good job.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. I know what you mean.
Okay, move on. Let's not wait.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think they've got much other than the new kid that they've brought in, and as we've said before, he hasn't done great this year, has he?
No.
But I think that was another one of them. Didn't he get him under a cloud as well? It was done behind someone's back.
West Ham, Mark Noble kicked off, didn't he, and said, "Why are you letting one of our best talents leave?" It's just ridiculous. If he was that rated, why have they let him gone? Obviously, West Ham needed the money to do further dealings, and to be honest, West Ham are up there in the top 6, aren't they? So
we'll talk about them later. Okay, so next up is Burnley on 10 points, third from bottom. They've leaked 18 goals, scored 6. Not great to watch. Don't look that strong at the moment. And I think they're almost getting worse as the season's going on as well. They set up well, and they'll stop teams playing, but they're not looking great, are they?
No, I think the problem with Burnley is if they don't get the first goal, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, the goals, they're not scoring goals. Wood up front doesn't do enough for me in games. They've got a lad there, I think, Burnley. Is it O'Neill? Plays on the left. I could be wrong. But nice, skillful player, but he needs to be more on the ball in games. When we played them, he wasn't on the ball enough. And you want those creative players on the ball to create something. I just think Burnley, they're going through this possible sale of the club, aren't they? So, again, I think January's massive for them. Are they going to get the sale through to give Sean Dyche money to spend? Or are they going to see if hopefully they get out? For me, they've got to give them money to spend and go out there and buy 2 or 3 decent quality players that can be creative, because they're not going to score enough goals to stay up.
Well, I think the biggest problem that Burnley had was Sean Dyche. He challenged the board at the very end of last season, and because we had such a big, quick turnaround for the seasons, he challenged the board by not putting some of the youth lads on the bench, because he said they're not good enough or they're not ready, and he wasn't carrying enough subs, and then they were struggling towards the end of the season, and he's tried to make a statement, and the club haven't bit because they know they're hoping to sell in the next. And he's lost. And then they've started the season in a really negative manager versus chairman and board situation. The players haven't started the season very well, and it's just snowballed from there. Now, I think over the last couple of games, there's been a little bit of a chink of light coming through. They've started to look better. The shapes looked a bit better. They're competing a lot more. They're getting balls in the box, which they're good at. And I know they've got a couple of draws last couple of games, but I think they're doing quite well.
I don't know whether we need to call out the chink of light as opposed to chink in the armour. I don't know.
Well, it doesn't matter,
Simon, I've just written that down thinking, what's that?
Maybe you can explain that later on. Maybe that's what he's seen just before he scored. Yeah, no, they don't look good. Anyone to watch in that team?
I
find someone.
Yeah, I like the guy I mentioned earlier. I think he's decent on the ball. Winger. They've got people like Westwood who used to play for Villa, and now Westwood's a decent footballer, but he's not going to take games by the scruff of the neck, and he's just a nice player. They need a bit more creativity and a bit more pace up front. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next up is Brighton, who are in 16th. Sorry, Fulham, who are in 17th. 10 points, same as Burnley. Leaked 23 goals. 23 goals and scored 13. Obviously, look really good against Liverpool last week, but they're just not doing enough, are they? They're another one who, if Burnley can get their act together, they could drag Fulham down into that bottom 3, no problem at all.
Yeah, I agree. I fully expect Burnley to get their act together and start slowly picking up the table. Fulham, you rightly said there, they were excellent against Liverpool. Liverpool were rubbish on the day, and Fulham deserved more out of the game, to be honest. But I think that unless they get a decent bit of investment in January, they're just not good enough. They've got good players, they're just not good enough.
I don't think they're going to do anything with Mitrovic up front in the Premier League. I don't think he's good enough. I think he's a good Championship striker, but I don't think... I watched him in the Championship, and he almost bullied defence. I don't think you can do that in the Premier League. I think the Premier League, the chances you get are limited. Scott Parker I quite like, and I think the last couple of games...
I really like him.
Yeah, they've drew the last 4 games or 3 games, haven't they? So he's starting to stop the rot a little bit, but again, not sure they'll have enough to get through.
Have you noticed that the talent is getting texts about his goal? So he's He's
No.
focused on his phone.
I'm just looking.
He's looking for a video of his goal.
No, I made a bit of a faux pas before. We're talking about the player that really impressed me the other day. It was Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and he plays for Fulham. And it's Hal Cabson
Robson-Kanu.
Yeah, Robson-Kanu for the other team that just doesn't done enough. But Loftus-Cheek played really, really, really well against Liverpool the other day, and I was really impressed with him. Quality midfielder, being in the England squad. And if they can just put a couple of players around them, another one up front, and stiffen up the midfield alongside him, they've got a good chance of staying in.
But I think they either need to go back to the way they played in the Championship and feed Mitrovic, or get someone else up top. Because it's almost like when you watch them, they're almost caught between two ways of playing. But you think back to when Liverpool signed Benteke. Yeah. Same problem. But the difference is that we were established in the Premier League. They're not. They can just bounce right back down, and then might not come up for another 5 or 6 seasons.
I like Carney for Fulham, the centre mid, but I think he's been getting enough game time. Whether he's coming back injured, I think he's a nice creative player. He'll put his foot in, but Fulham need to get a settled side, settled 11, and just go with it. And if they don't invest, they're going to go down.
But tactically, they're poor, I think. I think against Liverpool, he set them up really well, and they were disciplined. Liverpool were not great on the night either, but they were disciplined. That's something that I think they've really lacked. If you watch when they play, their shape is really poor. There's so much space right throughout the pitch that the really good teams are just gonna do well against you. You get away with that in the Championship. You don't get away with it in the Premier League.
Yeah, and I think that's the issue, Simon. I think sometimes when you come up like Sheffield United last year, they were a good, solid side. They didn't elaborate in the games. They just kept the shape. Fulham are trying to play the way they played the Championship, and that doesn't work. Sometimes, I mean, we've just Leeds. They're playing that same way, that expansive football, but you get picked off in.
But at least the difference with Leeds is they can play on the front foot, and they'll win games, so they'll win enough to keep themselves up.
Yeah.
Stay in the Premier League. Then next season they can really get started. But the difference with Fulham is they just don't have that. But then I think a big problem is the teams that are around them as well. So in 16th is Brighton. So they've got 12 points, only 2 points ahead of them. Have leaked 22 goals and scored 16. But Brighton will get their act together. You know that Brighton will grind out results as the season goes on. They've got some quality footballers as well. We talk about Tarek Lamptey all the time. He's a really good player. Who's Mopé playing up front for them. Today, they had chances in that game that they could have won it and just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. But I think they'll get their act together, definitely.
But also, they've got defenders who just defend.
Yeah.
Is it Dunk, is it? No? Does he play for Brighton?
Lewis Dunk. No, he's... Lewis Dunk it is.
Yeah.
He's a decent centre-half, and I think the way Brighton play, so I like the way they pass the ball. I think some games they're going to get caught, but they're going to have a lot of possession in some games, and they'll beat the teams around them, or they'll take points.
They're a better team than the ones that are going to go down.
Yeah,
in my opinion, I think that's why they're going to have enough. They're enough strength and depth in their squad, better players, and they've got goal threat, like with Welbeck today scoring late on.
Yeah.
No.
Who's your player to watch with them? It's got to be Lamptey, hasn't it?
Yeah, the right back, right mid or whatever.
Alana.
Yeah. Do you know what? I thought he did all right today.
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought he's the one who's got that creativeness that the other teams below them are missing.
But he was in the game as well, wasn't he? He was in the game all the time, and he was picking the ball up from the defence and then pressing them forward, which I thought was really good.
The big with Lallana is he's got to stay fit.
Yeah.
He has to stay fit for them to have a chance.
Yeah, always a challenge. Well, the next one is definitely a shock. Arsenal, 15th, 14 points, leaked 18 goals, scored 12. And, I mean, they just look shocking at the moment. Their disciplinary record is really bad. Arteta just can't get the dressing room together. Leno come out this week and was saying that there's no team spirit.
Yeah.
They're just not at the races at all. And they look really poor. They look poor again yesterday against Everton.
They've been poor all season. They look like, when it comes down to it, they haven't got the balls for the fight. When it's tight, they seem to, instead of saying, right, let's have it, and clashing heads with the opposition, they take a step back. And it's always going to go against them. Unless they're willing to jump in there and without getting sent off and really battle and work harder than the opposition, it's not going to work for them. And the way they set up against the top teams last season, they haven't done that this season.
Yeah.
And Aubameyang has been really out of sorts. He's been
average.
Poor. Yeah, really poor.
I can't see what they've bought poor over the last 4 years. Or whatever.
The same thing.
They've just bought. I mean, there's the guy who they bought for something like 70 million. Plays that Pepe. How on earth is he even in the Premier League? Never mind at Arsenal. Yeah. You've got players like that who they spent a lot of money on and they've not really worked out. Arteta for me has got to have 2 or 3 transfer windows for them to really make an impact, because the squad's not great. The first 11's still not great. I think when he first went in, they were trying to work for him. Aubameyang wanted that contract, and I hate saying that, because I think he's now not doing enough in games, and you want your best players on the ball. Defensively, they look so suspect. The positions of some of the players when corners and free kicks, it's just, for me, I don't see, we talked about this age ago with the boy band, I don't see an identity for Arsenal, where years ago you did.
Yeah, no, they look really poor. And back to something we were saying earlier about Sheffield United, they don't appear to have any bite, but then they're doing stupid things to get sent off. Yeah. But I just think it's almost like he can't get the mix of kids and experienced players right as well.
Yeah.
So Aubameyang seems to be playing totally out of position and doesn't influence the game. Lacazette doesn't seem to be at the races this year at all. Then you've also got the Ozil situation, because Ozil is the player that I think Arsenal need at the moment on his game. If he was playing well and they could get him in a team and he could influence what's going on, he could get them goals and he could get Aubameyang chances. When he's out the team, you don't have anyone to replace him. Yeah. And also, you're then carrying all of that wage. And one of the things they're talking about now is like they didn't register him this year. He's not even registered as a player. But I don't even know if they can register him in January.
They can in January, because that's what some people ask. I mean, for Arsenal, there's no chink of light, is there?
No, Thomas is in the way. Anyone to watch there?
Yes. Nketiah.
Yeah, decent player.
His goals to games ratio this year has been outstanding. But for me, I think the one to watch, just out of how backwards he's gone this season, has got to be Aubameyang. He's been definitely absolutely horrific. 1 goal on the opening day from open play, and then was it 1 last week before he got injured, or mysteriously didn't make the squad?
Yeah.
The other night, really poor.
So, do you know when they need to get back? Is it Partey? Is it?
Yeah, Thomas Partey. Yeah,
Thomas Partey, because he was the big signing for Arteta, and it's not worked out because of his injuries. So, get that back.
I think he midfield around him.
I think he's the one to watch. I think he could be your anchor in midfield. He's your Patrick Vieira. He can do a great job for them. I don't know whether he'll influence the game as much as Vieira, but he's definitely got ability. But you've got to get him in the team. Okay, next up is Leeds, who are absolutely being hammered by United at the moment. Is it 6-1, Dad?
6-2 have finished, I think.
6-2. Yeah. So they are in 14th on 17 points, leaked 30 goals and scored 24. Actually, they're scoring really well, but they're struggling with defensively. And we've talked about the way they play. It's really exciting. It's great to watch, but they're not going to win many games this year. I think they'll do enough to consolidate their place around, 14th, 15th to finish the season, but they're certainly not going to do much better than that, I don't think.
No, I tend to agree. I think they came in and it was all fresh and new and it was great to watch. But actually, teams are just picking them off at the moment, and they're conceding too many easy goals. They're giving too many easy goals away. If you look at the couple today, they're giving the ball away in midfield far too much. And what's happened is all the players have gone forward, trusting that they'll get the ball, and players just picking them off, and then they've got the advantage then, and the players can't get back in. It's going to be interesting because I think they only play one way. And that one way, you'll either love them, hate them. As a neutral, it's great to watch.
Yeah.
But as a Leeds fan, it's going to be like difficult because you're thinking, we might score 2 or 3, but we might concede 4, 5 or 6.
It'd kill you, wouldn't it? Watching them, your heart would be in your mouth all the time.
I've got to say, the hardest thing to do from a team coming up from the Championship into the Premiership is scoring goals, and the fact that they're scoring so freely is a breath of fresh air from a side like they are. Okay, they're shipping a lot of goals. I believe that after Christmas, they will tighten up a bit at the back.
Mm.
And if they continue scoring, I don't think they have a problem staying in the league. And for them to finish 15th, 16th would be an amazing season for Leeds.
Success, isn't it?
So it's a huge success. So I hope they stay. I hope they stay up.
Too.
And I hope they carry on playing the way they're playing. It's just brilliant to watch. And it's brilliant when your side faces them because you just don't know what to expect. I mean, Liverpool, for example, 4-3. Yeah. What a bloody game that was.
It'll be good to see what he does with a couple of transfer windows, and if he manages to bring some decent players in, because he brought a couple in during the last one. But again, I don't think they've influenced the game enough. And if you talk about who their players are to watch, for me, it's Phillips and Bamford. It's not players that they've brought in.
I do like Phillips. I think he'll get better in the Premier League as well. I know there's a couple of clubs looking at him because I think he'll have had a year in the Prem. And I think next year it'll be interesting whether he stays at Leeds or he takes a chance and moves on.
Yeah,
I think Leeds should be applauded for the way they've started the season. And, they're going to get a bit of stick. And Sean McCusker will not be happy with the result today. But I think, keep your head up, keep battling on, keep scoring goals is the main thing.
Yeah.
See where you are in January. One or two players, you may even be pushing towards the top 10.
But they've scored more than Man City.
Yeah, but what they've got to be careful of, Leeds, is they don't get sucked in. Yeah. I don't think they will, but if they don't start well the next couple of games and other teams pick up 1 or 2 points, suddenly, and I've been there with Villa, you get nervous then. And then you try and change and you don't play a natural game and it becomes so difficult.
I don't think he will though, Dan. I think that's just the way he plays. So I'm hoping that he doesn't default to let's get defensive, because they obviously can't play defensively. They don't have the players. But then again, with them, it's also about the teams around us. So next up is Crystal Palace in 13th, 18 points, leaked 25 goals, scored 19. Again, obviously their goal difference is affected a little bit by what happened this week, but they don't look great at the moment. But they'll finish somewhere around 12, 13, 14. They're more or less where you would expect them to be. I don't think they're going to do much better than that. They are somewhat negative at times. They've got some decent players, but I think they just rely on their creative players on the break, and then the rest of the team is okay.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think they're very much a counter-attacking side. I think if they can get Benteke back fit playing and they'll just cross balls to him then, and he'll get a couple of goals, that might just be enough.
Yeah, but will they? I mean, I think that's one of the things that they don't do that well at times. You watch them in games. If he could be playing up front and Zaha will still hold on to the ball and not give him it. You're like, what's the point in him being up there?
Yeah, he scored 2 and 3 or something, and then he got sent off or something, and he didn't play the other night against you guys. But I do think if they can get him fit, they'll have a focus, and a team like Palace needs to have a focus up front. Someone who they can just launch that ball to, and he'll try and hold her up and get other players in the game. But I think Zaha and Ezra or someone, Eze, they're going to be massive, because if they can stay fit, and they can start giving Palace the opportunities. I think they'll be all right. But Roy Hodgson does what Roy Hodgson does. Yeah, he's very much like, this is how we set up, this is how we play. Come and beat us, and they had a bit of a dodgy game at the weekend.
To be fair to them, at one point they could have been 3-1 up.
Yeah,
against Liverpool. Just wayward finishing. I think against teams around similar ability and similar squad size, I think they match up quite well. Hodgson has got a way of winning. He has for years with a mediocre side. He knows how to win games. I don't think they get dragged anywhere close to relegation. Player to watch for me, they've only got one really, haven't they? Zaha, and it's whether or not he's on his game. Because when he's on his game, what happens is he attracts the opposition defences towards him. When he's on his game, because he causes you problems straight away as soon as the game starts. That creates opportunities and space for other players to come into and goal scoring opportunities. Yesterday, he wasn't really on his game, even though the other players created the chances. And I just think they'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. I think they'll be fine. But I think there's a couple of things there. Firstly, I'd say that Eze is the one to watch, because I think Zaha does the same all the time. He influences games, then he drifts, doesn't do anything. Eze is a quality footballer, good on the ball, and he's starting to influence the game more. But I also think that Zaha is a big problem for them, because they rely on him too much, and if he doesn't play well, they look like they're lost. And that's where you need a Benteke maybe to come in or an Eze to influence the game. I just don't think they've got enough of that. But yeah, I agree. They'll probably be right around there. And then next up in 12th is Newcastle, 18 points, 22 goals against and 17 goals scored. They look like a mid-table team, don't they? I mean, there's nothing fancy about them. He's grinding out results. He'll keep them somewhere around mid-table, but again, they're not going to do well against the top sides.
But I think Steve Bruce done a really good job there. I think he brought in Callum Wilson in the summer.
Great
and Fraser, is it?
Yeah,
both from Bournemouth. Yeah. Both really good signings. And I think, John Joe Shelby, he's still there. He's decent on the ball. He can ping a pass or two. Simon, I agree with you. I think they'll just grind out results and they'll be between 10th and 14th. And the takeover's still not sure whether it's happening. So Steve Bruce, again, mightn't have any money in January, or he'll have to do some trade-offs to try and get one or two players in. But I think, Bruce has done a really good job there, to be fair.
They are where they are, aren't they?
Yeah, I agree. I think Newcastle are in where they should be. I think the biggest problem that Newcastle as a club have got is the fans. They think they are a top four side. They may have top four fans, but the squad, the money that the squad's got, isn't up there with the big boys. And Steve Bruce is doing a great job on a shoestring, pace. And I think if they get rid of him, it may be a disaster. I'd stick with him to the end of the season, see whether someone else comes in to buy the club, because that last takeover's been cancelled by the Premier League. So, he's waiting for whole new takeover people coming in. Whether they're about, who knows? But as it stands, they've got enough goal scoring clout there with Wilson. I think stick with Bruce, see the season out, and they'll stay in the league.
Yeah, I agree. And I think he's the one to watch as well, Wilson.
Oh,
he'll get them goals, and they're scoring goals. So it'll be interesting to see how they go for the rest of the season.
Saint Maximin.
Yeah, he's a quality footballer as well. Yeah,
he's good to watch. They've got to keep him fit.
Yeah,
as he tends to not play for a while.
Carry a bit of weight as well.
We don't mention that on this program.
Yeah, you don't mention it. No, but he seems to be carry a bit of weight. I don't know. Sometimes you'll watch him in games and think he doesn't look like the modern footballer, does he? He doesn't look like an athlete.
And then
obviously
other games
on the ball.
Yeah, other games he'll run the show.
Yeah,
it's just,
brilliant.
But yeah.
Okay, Daz. So up next is the mighty Villa in 11th after an amazing start. 19 points. You have only shipped 13 goals and scored 21.
Yeah, and 7 of them were against Liverpool, so that was good. I actually think we've got a couple of games in hand there. We're playing West Brom later, and I think Newcastle and Man City possibly are our other games. We've done well. We've done well because I think Ollie Watkins has been brilliant in terms of his overall play. He didn't have many chances against Burnley the other night, but his overall play, his hold-up play, he's strong and he's quick and he can see a pass. And Grealish gets all applauded, and quite rightly so. But actually, I think Ollie Watkins has been an excellent forward for us this year. And I think the sooner we get Barkley back as well. Do you know what? Honestly, if we finish around 10th, I'm pleased. That's a good season for us.
Watkins, I think, has been brilliant. I mean, the reality is you've got to set your expectations as well. So he starts the season on fire, and then Villa are not doing as well at the moment, and they're not creating as much chances, but they're solid. They're more or less where you would expect them to be. And he's doing well, but also he runs the line really well. He's difficult to mark. His movement's really good, and he can he can finish as well. I mean, what more are you looking for in a season where what Villa should be looking to do is consolidate, get themselves a steady footing, and then bring in some players to change up the team again next year when you've built that good base. I think they're doing brilliant this year.
Yeah, I've got to agree, Si. I think Watkins has been brilliant. Another one that's jumped out to me is Cash at full-back. I think he's
doing great.
Season. But I've also got to look at Grealish, who I've never, ever liked as a player. I just didn't get where the pundits and the likes of Darren was saying he's a quality player. I didn't get it. And then I've watched him quite a bit this season. And on the ball, he's absolutely fantastic and he can dominate a game. And he is very... I'm not saying he's in the same bracket, but he looks like Gaza when he plays, the way his body shape and the way he moves and the way he runs and stuff. But he annoys me a lot. He annoys me a lot the amount of times he goes down right across the pitch, like any type of little touch he throws himself in the theatrics. But once I got past that and looked at how he plays, he's a quality footballer. And I think now that England have sort of seen him, and not that I'm an England fan, but maybe there's a bit of guile and a bit of direction towards goal to open up chances for us, where we look like robots when we're playing at England at times. It's just down the wing, knock it in and see what we get. He's a quality player. And the fact that, Villa absolutely destroyed Liverpool earlier in the season. And I thought, do you know what? They're a decent side. Watkins was superb. Barkley had a great game running from midfield. And the awareness of the rest of the team to plug the gaps when people vacate midfield, was really spot on. And that's where Liverpool had the massive problems, because when our players were vacating the gaps, the Villa players were filling them and causing us problems all over the pitch. Excellent start to the season. Mid-table would be, if it was offered to me now, Darren, I'd snap their hands off and improve. And seems to have decent owners. They're not shy at spending. And, Dean Smith, great job. Well done.
Yeah, I special shout out to Martinez in goal as well. I think he's been solid, and we've only, I think, 5 clean sheets. I think Dean Booth was talking about
most clean sheets in the Premier League.
And that's massive. Massive.
Yeah, it's great. In a team that are trying to have a consolidation here, like Villa want to have, having a good keeper is absolutely where you start. And then you look at what's happened with Sheffield United last year to this season. It tells you exactly how important they are.
So on this one, out of all the players, Darren, who would you want to watch then?
I think Watkins. I think he'll get better as the season goes on.
Brilliant. I'd agree.
Great start.
Okay, next up is Wolves. They are in 10th, 20 points. They've let in 17 goals and scored 13. I think they're missing Jimenez, yeah. And apparently they'll miss him for a while. But they're a decent side. Again, I think they're more or less where they should be. They had a good season last year. But they look like a mid-table team this year. They don't look good enough to threaten the top 6.
No, I thought they might have invested a bit more than they did in the summer, because they had a good season. And I was thinking they might get a top 8, 7. But I don't see the fluidity that they had last year. I think they've struggled defensively for whatever reason. And Jimenez will be a massive loss to them. Although the young kid who's come in, the 18-year-old who's come in, looks sharp. He'll get better as the season goes on, and he looks a really good, sharp find him.
I think that it sounds stupid. We didn't see it coming when Liverpool signed him. The guy that Liverpool signed, he's a massive loss for them. And the impact that he's had at Liverpool, they're missing that impact now that Jimenez is injured and a fractured skull. He's out for a long time until he's cleared to play. They're looking like a team that really ran themselves into the ground last year. They played a hell of a lot of games with getting so far in the Europa League and doing so well in all the competitions, and then challenging for the top 4, where they just petered off towards the end. The really quick turnaround in the season, I think it has really impacted on them. And I think now after Christmas, I think they'll improve as the season goes on, because they're a quality football inside, but they're just not at the levels that they were at last year.
Yeah, Connor Cody is brilliant for them. I love the way he leads the lines. He would be the one to watch for me, because I just think he's getting better and better all the time. But I do think that they're going to struggle, because I think the Christmas period is difficult anyway. Then they're missing their goal scorer. What you need in this period is, one to go in off your knee and then one to go in off your back and, scrape wins here and there, especially when you're battling around mid-table. And I think they might struggle, I don't for a minute think they'll struggle for the rest of the season, but I think this period will be really tough for them.
I think they...
Jimenez, haven't they?
Yeah.
They're a massive... I know Jota's left the club, but, because it's such a short turnaround, it's difficult to replace them goals. Definitely. And the work rate and the quality up front, which creates chances for everyone else, which we talk about all the time.
Yeah.
I think, if I'm honest with you, I think there's only one player I think who can help them now at Wolves. Thomas Morris, this could be your moment. Stats don't lie. Send your stat sheets in, mate.
1 goal.
One shot, 1 goal.
That's it.
All right, next up is West Ham in 9th. 21 points, shipped 16 goals, scored 21, looking like a reasonable team this year. I think they're more or less where they should be so far. They've had some really good games. They've had some average games. They've missed Antonio for part of the season as well, who I think is a big player for them. But I think they'll probably end up somewhere around 9th to 10th. Again, I don't think they'll threaten the top 6, but they'll be there or thereabouts in the top 10.
I'm not going to lie, Simon. I think that's a huge improvement on what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Huge. They really struggled. For all David Moyes' doubters and people that really get on his back for his style of football, I think he's doing a fabulous job. Especially when he got COVID and he won every game while he wasn't there. They are a quality side. Every team that they've played against have been in a game. They haven't been brushed aside by anyone. I can't remember. And I think pressure and the fact that they're bringing the pressure every time they play teams, it's just a breath of fresh air for them West Ham fans. And they've got a brilliant loyal following. And for them to be up there, they were in the top 4 last week or the week before.
Yeah,
it's absolutely superb. They're massively improved on what I was expecting.
I'd agree with you, Thomas. I was expecting to be 14th, 13th, 14th, I think. Just because I didn't see the enough quality, really. And also with Antonio, I think they've covered him very, very well.
Yeah.
And when he gets back, I think they'll possibly push on again. I'm not saying they'll get into the top 6, but I do think they'll maintain where they are, because I don't think other teams will be able to catch up.
They look like an 8th or 9th
team
this year, don't they? Which is weird because they didn't look like that.
That's amazing. That's an amazing improvement. Also, they've got the likes of that Berahino, or Berahina, however you pronounce his name, that they signed from Brentford.
Yeah.
He's a quality player. He's only getting 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there. But with the Christmas period and then coming in...
Ben Rama, his name is, by the way.
Ben Rama, yeah. Once he's bedded into the team, there's another attacking flair there for them.
Quality footballer in, mate.
He's brilliant. I agree.
Do you know who I like from there? Is it the right winger?
Not good with names, that's...
No, I'm not.
Bowen.
Bowen, yeah, Bowen. I think he's been brilliant for them. Yeah, I think he's direct. He tries to go past players. I think he's really, really come on this year in the Premier League.
Scored big goals as well, hasn't
he? Yeah. Quality player. He paid a lot of money, didn't he, for him to try and save them last season?
Yeah.
And he got injured within the first game or two signing, and then he's showed his worth this year, playing really well. Antonio is the one for me to watch this year.
Yeah, same for me.
It's superb.
Yeah, great at holding the ball up. Okay, next up is Chelsea in 8th, 22 points, goal difference of 12. Again, they've been a bit odd this year. They've had some really strange results. It seemed like they were getting going and they were starting to click and he was starting to get that squad playing well together. And then they've just faltered, haven't they? They haven't been great at all lately.
Yeah, I don't know whether that's because he messes with the tactics a bit too much for me. I think I don't think he still knows his best 11. And I think we're coming up to Christmas now, and you should know your best 11, your best formation. Yeah. Is it Havertz? Is it?
Yeah, Havertz.
Havertz, he's not done anything. He's in and out the team. They paid 70 million for.
But again, the same with him. He started really slow. Then he sort of got into his stride, and then he looks poor again.
Yeah, and but I think defensively, generally, they look okay. I think Zuma, is it, at the back?
Yeah.
I think he's played really well. He's a good solid, but I still don't see them as a top 4 team at the moment.
Well,
I think...
how about this? Werner was going to be the big Liverpool signing. We signed Jota, and comparing Jota with Werner, now you take Jota every day of the week, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I've not seen enough of Werner to say
he's a
quality
he would player.
But in the Premier League though, you've got to be a certain type of player. I just don't see. I don't see what the fuss is about at this moment in time. He might go on to prove me wrong, but I don't see what the fuss is about with him. I don't think they're playing to his strengths, and if they aren't, they need to.
Yeah.
Darren, you've just hit the nail on the head. Players and strengths and stuff. If he was playing for Liverpool, we play a totally different style of play to Chelsea. And I think in a team like ours, he'd shine. I think
he'd be the chink, wouldn't he? He'd be the chink of light, Thomas, wouldn't he?
He could be that, if you want to call it that. He's a quality player. But then today I read an article to say he didn't realise how hard the Premiership was. And and these players are coming over here and they're playing against the Fulhams who are playing, 40 odd games in the Championship. They're battling Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 games a week, and they're used to it. And they're thinking, well, we're going to play these this week. It's going to be all right, easy. And then we've got Liverpool next week. They just can't deal with the games, the quality, the pressure that side's put on you, how physical the league is. It's a smack in the face to them. So Havertz, to be honest, I think he's going to take it a lot longer to get used to playing in the league. Werner, striker, I think he'll get chances, he'll score goals, and at the end of the season, he'll be up there with 15 goals, maybe close to 20.
Yeah.
But I think overall, Chelsea, it's biting them a little bit that they've had to sign so many players. That's the issue that I think with regards to them.
Two players to watch for me, for them, Pulisic and Giroud. I think Giroud will influence how they do between now and the end of the year if they play him. And Pulisic is quality.
Yeah, I like Pulisic, but I do think James has started the season very well at right back.
Yeah.
I think he's been excellent. I think he's good going forward. I think he's good defensively. He's big, strong, athletic. I like the way he started.
I've gone up for none of them. Mine's Ziyech.
Yeah.
If he can stay fit and they find the system where they can incorporate the 3 attackers that they're trying to play, then I think he'll have a good season. It's just, as long as they're doing bad, I don't care because I hate Chelsea.
Well, here's the next one. The real shock so far. Man City are 7th, 23 points, goal difference of 7. They've only scored 19 goals so far this season. And when you compare that to the Liverpool who were top, have scored 36. I know that's slightly skewed by what happened this week, but scored 19 goals. They just don't look like the team they were at all. And he just hasn't really got them going. They've got quality players that are always going to win games. They'll always be there or thereabouts by the end of the season. But they just don't look like the same team, do they?
I've got one word for you. Penetration. They do not penetrate like they did last year. They're just not playing at the same level.
Is that Aguero, though? Is that the Aguero effect?
Definitely. And we've talked about this on previous podcasts long time ago, where he thinks Jesus can do a better job than Aguero. And it's just not even close. It's not even, it's night and day. You'd rather have Aguero on your side than him have 5 touches in the whole game. He'll score you a hat-trick.
Yeah.
Rather than Jesus, who's involved in all the playing and it all looking really nice. You've got to penetrate. And if you're not penetrating, teams are so used to. Liverpool know it. The top teams know it right across the league. If you go up against a team that are used to putting 5 at the back, flat back 4 in front of them, and they just drop onto each other, you've got to penetrate between the lines. And they're not doing it that well this year. Sterling's had injuries, and he was very good at forward last season. And Aguero's been out for a lot of the season. And Jesus just doesn't do it. De Bruyne is finding it really hard and is frustrated. You can see it in his game. He's finding it hard to pick passes that are going between the lines towards goal, that are pulling people out of position to create space for other players. It's just not happening. That's the biggest problem for City at the moment. It's too pedestrian. It goes across the back 4 too much. They overplay it, they overpass it, and they're not penetrating. It's all about the penetration. How'd you like that?
And on that bombshell, Thomas, was that more like a wall of hate, wasn't he? He was going for it there. He got quite aggressive.
I'm not aggressive.
Right. I think he's right, though. We did talk about this last year. We talked about the fact that you look at their possession stats and you look at where they play the game. They play the game the majority of the time in their half when they're not playing well. When Man City are playing really well, and you look at where they're playing the game, they're basically about 35 yards out and they're controlling the game there. And the reason that is because teams back right off, get really scared and just sit behind a ball and park the bus. The problem is that teams are coming at them a bit more this year and they're not getting as much space in the middle of the park, and I think that's really hurting them.
I also think, David Silva?
Yeah.
Massive blow.
Yeah, great.
But Guardiola has to look, and Man City have to look at their recruiting policy, because I don't think they've recruited very well.
Well, they thought Foden was a replacement, didn't he?
And he's good, but he's not a replacement. And I think Thomas for me, pedestrian. They're just so slow moving the ball, and if you're moving it slow, teams have got time to adjust to move across the back all the time, and you have to move it quick. It's almost like you do a couple of short passes, then that big switch has got to be on.
Yeah.
And then you try and get the gap that's created by that quick movement. It's not happening at City at the moment, and it's quite disappointing to see.
Well, and then the reality is they'll be there or thereabouts at the end of the year. But
I'm not going to lie, the team that still finishes above City are going to win the league.
Yeah, definitely. They're going to be in the top 3, aren't they?
You know,
Thomas,
Liverpool, Chelsea, and Man City.
But if City finish 17th, then the team above them will win the league.
Not the team in 16th. Okay, all right. So just above them at the moment is Southampton, 24 points, goal difference of 6. They're doing really well at the moment because they look solid. What's the guy who plays centre half? Vestergaard?
Yes.
Looks really good at the back, great in the air. Then they've got Shea Adams, who's been doing really well up front, and Danny Ings is now back as well, isn't he?
Yeah, Vestergaard will be at Liverpool in 2 years. That's normally what happens, isn't it?
I wouldn't be surprised if he's not there in January.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe he's the player.
I think they're at the moment, Southampton are a great side to watch. I didn't have them up here, to be honest with you, at this point. I thought they'd be 16th, 15th, somewhere like that. But I do like the way they play. I think they do well on the press. Ward-Prowse, for me, is brilliant player.
What about his set pieces?
Oh, yeah, stunning. But he's always had that in his locker. He just didn't play enough, and he didn't apply himself in games. He was England under-21 captain, I think, at one point. And they were open for this next big thing, but it didn't quite happen for him. But I think it's happening now. I think the fact that he's got 2 runners up front who will create space and make runs, similar to what we saw today, Simon off Thomas. They'll make runs in the channels, and Ward-Prowse will pick them out.
Well, and now you've also got Walcott added to that as well.
Yeah.
Who I think is doing really well, scored a couple of goals.
Well, they break really well, don't they? And Walcott breaks the lines, superb. You know, one thing, I've never rated Walcott, but he running through the lines, he's superb, breaks the lines, creates space for other players around him. And in that side and in that setup, he's a perfect foil for Che Adams and Danny Ings because he's making them runs. People are petrified by his pace. And then he's creating space for other people. Comes back into Ward-Prowse in midfield and he's pinging it left and right over to the different players. It's brilliant.
But don't you think he looked a little bit lost? Ward-Prowse looked a little bit lost last season and the year before. I think you're right, Daz. He's got loads of quality. And he always looked great on the ball, but just wasn't really influencing the game. This year, he's been outstanding. They've got to be, I mean, he's in, their top 3 players of the season so far.
Who's the guy who plays alongside him? Big, tall guy, solid, strong.
Can't remember his name.
Yeah, but he's doing all the sort of donkey work, if you like, and it's allowing Ward-Prowse to get on the ball and to play. And I think that's a really good combination there in the midfield.
Yeah, brilliant. They're looking good. Okay, next up is Tottenham in 5th, 25 points, goal difference of 11. I think they've done really well this year. Again, I think they will be in the top 3 or 4. I think they'll get into the Champions League. But I think that defeat against Liverpool will really knock them.
Well, 3 defeats in a week.
Yeah.
A disappointing result for them today, 2-0 defeat to Leicester. I think they are too negative. That's the difference when they come up against sides that aren't going to press them like Liverpool and make them look good at times. So in the Liverpool game midweek was superb. It was great ebb and flow. And Liverpool had all the ball. Tottenham were a huge threat on the break. And against the top sides, Tottenham will look good because they've got a superb shape. They've got players running around. Højbjerg, what a player he is. Yeah. Just causing a nuisance and just being on the ball, always available, always fouling, always just in people's faces. But in a game today where it was the counter-attack versus the counter-attack, Tottenham were at home. The impetus was on them to push forward. Yeah. And they've got caught out. That's where they're going to get found out, and that's where they've got to close the gap with the bigger sides, the better sides in the league. They're not quite there. I think for me, 5th or 6th this year.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Thomas. I think they've got too many average players, and they've got Son and Kane, obviously, but the rest of the team, you would argue, aren't brilliant. I think
defensively, though, I don't think they're great. I mean, the Dyer
and I don't get that. But actually,
not good enough, is it?
No.
Gareth Bale as well has been a disappointment. whether he's injured or not playing. I just expected
He's sick though,
Bale
isn't
to
he?
come in.
Or does he come back today?
I don't know if he played today, but he was sick midweek against Liverpool.
Yeah, and I look and I think fullbacks, you'd argue, aren't great. Lloris, I think he's always got a mistake in him as well. I think he's not great coming off his line. He tends to stay on his line too much. I agree with Thomas. I think
was great against Liverpool, the right back.
Yeah, but he gave a penalty away today. He's been called up by his manager, hasn't he?
He was brilliant against Liverpool. I think the other guy, Bergwijn, who plays off the forwards or plays right side of the midfield, he's decent as well.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. But I also think tactically, when they're good, they're outstanding because they defend really well as a team and then they break really fast.
Yeah.
But when you're, as Thomas says, when you're playing against a counter-attacking team like that, you've got to come out. And that Liverpool have struggled with that over the years as well.
Yeah, but I don't think Tottenham have enough creative players that when they're in possession to do something with it.
Yeah,
I think Thomas is right when he's saying if they set up against the big sides, Liverpool's, the Man Cities where they're going to not have the possession and then break, they'll be successful. But when they play the likes of, I don't know, Wolves, West Ham, those type of teams where they've got to have most of the ball, they've got no creativeness really to unlock a defence.
But then it's also about who's around them to get into the top four as well. So you've got Man City around them, and then you've got Everton just ahead of them in fourth, who are on 26 points. And again, they had a great start to the season, dropped off a bit, struggled with some injuries. Their first 11 was not there and was not doing as well. And then they've had a couple of really good games. Allen looks outstanding. Decore looks fantastic as well, and they just seem like they're a bit more solid in the last couple of games, which they seem to lose for a while. I don't know why that was, but they lost it. They lost the shape. But now they're looking pretty good.
I think Everton have stumbled across a back four that works for them. I think because of the injuries to Coleman and to Digne, is it? The left back?
Yeah.
Digne, I think they've stumbled across a really good, solid back four who I wouldn't say were great footballers when they're in possession, but they're solid and they don't get many people get past them. The guy they bought from Norwich,
Godfrey.
For me has been brilliant. I think he's been solid. He's played him right back. He's played him left back, and again he just doesn't like to get beat, and I quite like that. I think where Everton possibly had that little spell is where the players just weren't on it for the moment. But I do think Everton will finish in the top 5. That's my prediction.
Okay. I probably agree. I watched them the other night against Leicester, and the one thing that jumped out to me was they worked harder than Leicester. Right across the pitch. Godfrey was brilliant. Keane, centre-half, had a superb game. Really underrated. I know he's made some mistakes in the past. Yerry Mina, for me, is the weak link in the defence. He runs like he's running in treacle. It's, balls lava. He runs, his knees go past his face. His legs are that long. Digne is a big miss for them because he's taken a bit out of Richarlison's game. With him not being there, he helps Richarlison get further forward. He's an attacking threat. He's really good. But Decore midweek was outstanding. He ran the game. He ran the midfield. Massive blow as Allen's out injured, pulling his hamstring. And the guy up front has been absolutely on fire.
Yeah, can't believe it.
We've talked about him so much this year. He's a goal threat right the way through. And even when he's quiet in a game and the ball, he's not seeing a lot of ball, he's getting a chance and he's putting it away. He's been superb.
But we talked about that early on, didn't we? We talked about the fact that he'd got him trying to score goals, one touch in the 6-yard box. Just get in front of goal and you'll score. And I think you're probably right there. They're a top 5 team. But what Everton wants is to try and push into the top 4. And that is difficult given how the other teams are playing right now. You would imagine Man City will step up. But next up are Man United. So yeah, they're in 3rd on 26 points. Got a goal difference of 7. And again, they're starting to look a little bit better. They've battered Leeds today. Although, we know Leeds ship goals. But they've obviously done a bit better defensively as well, which is where they've really struggled this year. They're in 3rd. Do we think they can stay there?
No, is my answer. I think they're very up and down United. And they've almost gone under the radar to get into 3rd position because I didn't think they were that high up. I think the other team's not performing, as well as we thought is great for them. But against Leeds, they look great. But I don't think they've got the consistency across the season. It's an interesting one because I don't know if they're going to invest in January because they bought this Dutch guy in the summer and not played him. So I don't know who's making the transfers. I don't know if it's Ollie or someone else.
He doesn't look happy at all as well.
Yeah, he doesn't because he's gone from Ajax to the Premier League thing, and this is his big move, and he's not played. An interesting one. I think Pogba didn't play today. I think he's a problem. I'd get him out of the club in January if I could. And United, I would almost say they're overachieving at the moment.
I think I'm a little bit torn. So I'm torn on Solskjaer. I want him to win just enough to show a little bit of improvement. But I want him to get sacked. I can't stand him. Gollum looking stupid fool.
And you say what you think, mate?
Yeah, he's on the fence again.
Because we're on a podcast, I'm holding back. They flatter to deceive. They are not good enough. They haven't got good enough players right the way around the pitch. Maguire, Lindelof, not good enough. For any top side in the country, they're not good enough. Your full-backs there, not good. Right through. They're playing Fred centre midfield. Fred, and they're saying they miss him when he's out. That's an embarrassment to Man United. Yeah, up front, they've got quality players that can score goals, so I'm not going to knock them too much. Fernandes has come in and looked really good, but right across the side, they're just poor. Their recruitment policy has been really poor, and the politics that are going on in the background, is wrecking the club. And the fact that you've got then the Glazers on top of that, taking money, millions and millions out of the club on a regular basis, isn't really helping. I think it's going fantastic.
Yeah, two things for me. I think you're spot on with the defence, Lindelof and Maguire. I think that's where their problems start from, and they're just not good enough. Maguire looks like he's a freightliner. He's just so slow. Yeah. And they don't look strong. I love Rashford for all he's done outside the game, but also I love the fact that whenever he gets the ball, he just goes at players. I love that. He will keep them somewhere there or thereabouts in the top six, but they're not staying in third. I think City will push on. United will go down the table.
I think they just need a spine. They haven't got a spine in it, and they've got one or two decent players, but the old United, there's too much going on that the old United under Alex Ferguson, I know you can't keep going back to that, but wouldn't have happened. Van Gaal, it wouldn't have happened. Mourinho, almost it wouldn't have happened. I think Ollie's gone in there, and for whatever reason, they seem to be making decisions either without consulting them or, there's
not
something
enough
not
respect,
right.
Not enough respect.
There's not. Like this podcast, there's not enough respect.
Yeah. Well, Thomas would say the same thing. All right, next up is Leicester. They were second on 27 points, 9 goal difference. Have beat Tottenham, which I think is a really good win. I think their forwards and the way they break is what really works for them. Maddison does really well in behind the forwards. Vardy is obviously outstanding. And they're doing really well this year, and they also appear to be getting better as well. I don't know whether they're a top 3 team. I think maybe they're somewhere around 5th, 6th, but they're doing really well at the moment.
I think it just depends on Vardy, because we'll take him out of that Leicester side. Have they got a goal scorer? And you'd argue they haven't. I think Maddison needs to be fit to create those chances. He's a good player, Maddison. I like him a lot. But what I do like about Leicester is they've got basically a good, solid defence. I think the young lad who's come in, 19-year-old, begin his name, who knows?
Surprise, you've forgotten the name.
Yeah, who knows what his name is? But I think he's fitted in the Premier League. At 19 years of age, he's fitted in very, very well. And I can see him getting better and better. What will be interesting in about 2 or 3 years, are they going to be able to keep him?
Yeah.
Because I think a big club will come in for him.
I agree. Do you know what? Leicester should snap up when Man United need to get rid of him. Maguire back. So for a team that plays on the counter-attack and likes to take a bit of pressure on and then break, Maguire's an excellent defender when he's pressed back towards his goal and he doesn't have to think about stepping into midfield and playing passes and creating space behind him, which is causing a lot of the problems. If he's on his 18-yard box, got to head balls and knock it to his fullbacks to get out, he's a great defender. And that's where we sort of think when he was at Leicester, he was superb because that's the game that he was asked to play. And now Man United are asking him to do a lot of different stuff that Liverpool ask of the likes of Van Dijk, Fabinho now in centre half. He hasn't got that in his locker. He hasn't got that to go across the halfway line and open things up. And that's why we're paying him a bit of not disservice. Man United have bought the wrong player for what they need.
Definitely.
Yeah. Can I just stop you there because Villa have just took the lead against West Brom. El Ghazi, who missed 4 chances against Burnley, has scored a decent goal. So carry on.
Days. Love it. It's a good way to finish off on Leicester. All right, so next up is top of the tree for Christmas, Liverpool on 31 points. Had a really good week this week. Goal difference of 17, 7 of which were scored against Crystal Palace this weekend, which is great. Looking good at the moment. I mean, struggling with injuries, missing a number of top players. Although I do think if you look right down the league, there are teams that are missing players. It just seems that we are missing more of our starting 11. But the players that have come in have done a great job. I think we're scraping some wins. Henderson has really started influencing the game again. He was absolutely outstanding against Crystal Palace. I thought he did really well against Tottenham as well. Looking good for this year again.
If I could just come before Thomas has his half hour, I can't see at this moment Liverpool losing the title. I don't think there's a team there who are consistent enough to break Liverpool down, and a fair play. And I don't think Liverpool have got going yet either. And I think it's really interesting because Klopp obviously has been in the media wanting these 5 subs and all these things, but actually what that's done, it's almost like solidified Liverpool as a club, and the players have come more together. And Klopp's very good at that. I rate Klopp very highly. I can't see Liverpool. I can't see Liverpool losing the league, and I'm a football fan, but Liverpool at the moment, there's no one touching them, and they're not even playing well.
Yeah.
Right, Thomas, hurry up because this Villa game's still on. Let's get you 3 minutes out the way.
You can finish there, Darren. I think you hit the nail on the head. Liverpool have been mediocre at times. There's been spells where they've been absolutely magic. Everton springs to mind. For 20 minutes against Everton, we were absolutely out of this world. And then obviously what happened. At times we've looked like we're just going through the paces and just we're not at the races. And then yesterday we could have been 3-1 down at half time and we just had our shooting boots and just turned the gears. We watched it together and literally Liverpool strolled to the win, and they didn't look like they'd got out of second gear. Some of the goals were absolutely fabulous. On the day, I don't think there's a team in the league that gets even close when they're on the day. Injuries are having a massive impact. I just think I'm looking forward to the new year. I'm looking forward to next week to welcome back Thiago, who is going to be my one to watch for the rest of the season. I think he's got a point to prove. I think he's missed too many games, and I think with him just being named in one of the players in the world, best 11 players in the team of the best 11 players, I think he's got something to prove, and hopefully the lads get back from injury sooner rather than later. We sign a centre half, which I think is imperative for the rest of our year, and then we'll just take it from there. And hopefully, come May, we're left in the Premier League for the second time
in front of some fans.
Yes, which is the main thing.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think they the fact that we haven't been that great this year and we've been missing so many players and we're still top and they look solid at the moment as well. They look much better. Although I do think Tottenham did well against us, and again Fulham is a good indication of the fact that in the Premier League you can lose points at any point. But that's one of the reasons why we love it. But I do agree with you, Daz. I think right now it's not so much about what Liverpool are doing; it's also about what the other teams around them are doing. I just don't think there is a team that can really push them.
I think, once you think, oh, this is it now, this team's going to take the bull by the horns, and then they'll go and get beat 3 games on the run.
Yeah.
And it's like no one's stepping up to have a go and take the mantle. It's almost like they're not quite there, and they'll have a good run, and then but Liverpool seem to have had a bad run and picked up points.
Yeah.
And I'm interested, Thomas, to see, is it who's the guy, Thiago?
Thiago.
I'm interested to see him because I think Liverpool have bought a couple of players in midfield who haven't. I mean, we talk about Minamino. Is it Minamino?
Yeah, and then he scored. We slagged
and
him off.
I know. I was laughing. Yeah, and Keita. Yeah, both of those players, I would argue, haven't really grabbed the bull by the horns, and I think that's why he's gone out and bought another player.
Oh, but I wouldn't put Keita in the same ballpark.
No, but I wouldn't. But I don't think he's really performed either.
I think Keita has been good and bad, whereas I think Minamino hasn't impacted the game enough at all. And I know players need time, but again, I just think that's a stopgap that he'll be gone in 18 months.
I think Wijnaldum, you've got to sign him up.
But then, you know, as we said the other day, he's had his head turned, doesn't he? But he is brilliant for Liverpool.
He's thinking, wherever he goes, anywhere in world football is a step down from playing for Liverpool. I don't care what you say.
Hey, you wouldn't look at a place at the South.
Would he get a shirt at the South? That's the question.
It's the answer. No,
it's a step down.
Yeah, because they're all over 40.
So we're all predicting at this stage at Christmas, Liverpool win the league in May.
Yes.
Okay. Darren, where do you think Villa will finish?
10th.
Okay.
I think ninth for me for Villa, Darren.
I think 10th, somewhere around 10th, 11th, I think, and I think that would be a successful season.
I totally agree.
All right, lads, that was fun. Really enjoyed that. We've had a great year this year. This has been a shocking year for everyone, the world, all of us, professionally, personally. Everything has been all over the place, and it doesn't look like we're getting out of it anytime soon. In fact, apparently there's a new variant of the virus that is going around, so things could get a little bit worse. But before we finish off, let's do some final thoughts, Daz.
I think my final thoughts are, I'm so glad that Thomas has finished the year off with a goal. It's made my year. He's such a great player to play alongside all those years, and now he's finally found his position up front, and hopefully he'll start picking himself for the South, because I think that's the only way forward now for our team. Thanks, Thomas.
Darren, you just wrecked me final thoughts. I can't believe you just done that. My final thought was, I have taken so much joy this afternoon on the disappointment that Simon's had on me scoring. He has ripped me for a whole 12 months over a miss. Well, it wasn't a miss. I just couldn't get my head on the end of a diving header last year. He's given me so much rubbish over it. And even you said, I'd love it if you scored tomorrow when I spoke to you yesterday. And I just said, well, I'm going to go out and score, you know, as goal scorers do. And I did. And the disappointment in my brother-in-law's face, you know, I feel right now.
Woo!
It's so hard to take. I was begging that goalkeeper to save it.
And the final point is, happy Christmas, everyone, and hope you have a brilliant 2021.
Yeah.
Can't be any worse.
Yeah, surely 2021 has got to get better. It's been a shocker of a year. A great way to end the year, seeing Thomas score a goal and then almost crying. But it's been a difficult year, but this has definitely helped get us through. This has been brilliant. The involvement that we've had from people that we know, and then the new people that we've met that we've never met before, and now all of a sudden, you know, people like Sean McCusker. Yes. We'd never have met him. Dean Booth, we'd have never known. Well, you may have, Daz, but me and Thomas would never have known him.
Great lads.
There's so many people that contribute to the podcast, contribute comments, get involved on Facebook. The chat is fantastic. It's really helped get us through. I almost see this as a little bit of therapy every time we do it. I mean, we talk about football all the time. Doing this podcast, you know, just lets other people in. Lets other people listen to our crap.
After the bullying that I get on this podcast.
yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have a bullying policy, Thomas, at the moment. but we are speaking to Rachel, your wife, about how we can put that together.
She does bully him. So for those,
that's used to, I tell you.
So for those who are new to the podcast, you know, it's available on YouTube, as most people watch it on YouTube, but it's also available on podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and many more. There's also a website, www.threemeninfootball.com, and we put all the videos up on there as well. We've also put some blogs up, some bits of information that we have about football that we'd like to get out there. Go and have a look, get involved in the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram. Let us know what you want us to talk about next year. We'll be back at some point, and I think we'll probably do one between now and the end of the year. Get it out to wish everyone a happy new year. But have a great Christmas. Enjoy your Christmas dinner. Don't eat too much, lads, especially you, Thomas. That shirt looked like a climber cool top on you today. As you were running away without it on.
There's people in therapy now.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Have a good one.
Take care.
And we'll see you before the new year.
All the best. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.